Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Nicol with FranNet, and tonight's webinar is on home-based franchises. A little bit of housekeeping. I'll probably have the webinar will probably go about 50 to 60 minutes. We'll have plenty of time at the end for questions and answers. And also, you're welcome to chime in if you have questions through the webinar that we can answer. Probably the easiest way to do that is through the participant feedback on your webinar. And then that Q&A will come to me, and I'll see if we can either interject the answer or I can answer you back. So first I'd like to introduce myself. Again, my name is Nicol. I'm the area developer and franchise specialist with FranNet. Particularly, I handle the Southern California region, and my brother and I also own the Pacific Northwest. So I'm not sure where everyone's calling in from, but we have FranNet offices all over the country. We have over 100 FranNet offices. So if you're not in the Southern California or Pacific Northwest regions, we'll probably have one of our associates in the city next to you reach out to you. A little bit about tonight's webinar. I'm going to do a little bit of a brief introduction about who is buying franchising, why they're buying franchises, and what franchises people are buying. And then we have two spotlighted home-based franchises that we'll be presenting, both Aussie Pet and Closed Bin. And then we'll close up with kind of next steps. How do you go to the next step in terms of finding the right franchise for you? Some realistic expectations for tonight is just discover possibilities and explore options. Unrealistically is to have, one of these franchises be the one. They may be ones that you want to explore further, and I or the FranNet associate in your city can help you with that. But it's not realistic that you would be, convinced after a very brief webinar that one of these businesses is the right fit to you. It's really more just to open up the options for you and just set what kind of exciting possibilities are out there. So here's a slide that talks a little bit about who's buying franchises. As you can see over on the right side of that circle, about 50% of the people who are buying franchises right now range from C-level executives to vice president of large and small corporations to people at the director level. And then the other 50% are people at the managerial level or people that have their own practice like CPAs and attorneys. So you can see it's a pretty big mix of who's buying franchises. But a lot of the people that I work with through FranNet are senior level executives that are at the director level all the way up to the C-suite level. As far as why they're buying franchises, you can see it really varies. Married women with dependents, women with no dependents, married men with dependents, and men with no dependents. It's all different. So some people are coming into this with their spouses. Some are coming in individually. Some people are married. Some people aren't. Some people have kids. Some people don't. So you can see that it varies in terms of what they're looking for. Some are looking for high earnings and income potential, while other people are looking for quality of life. And then some people are looking for both. They're trying to increase their earning potential, and they're trying to increase and better their quality of life. So those are usually the primary reasons why people are going into franchising right now. As far as what they're buying, it's quite a big mix. There's over 3,100 different franchises out there. And a lot of time people think of franchises strictly as food and retail. And if you look at, just like full-service restaurants, they only make up about 5% of the franchises out there. So we have things like automotive, business services, commercial and residential services, personal services, obviously quick service restaurants that many of you are familiar with. We have real estate franchises, retail food, and then other products and services. So those 3,100 different franchises, there's not one dominant franchise category. They really are quite a mix. And you'll kind of see that in tonight's spotlight. You're going to hear about a couple of home-based franchises that you might not have even heard of, or you might not even realize that that these industries are out there or franchising. So hopefully this will open your eyes that there's a lot of different options out there. Now, as far as why we're spotlighting home-based franchises, a lot of times people are looking for franchises that they can get into for under $100,000, sometimes for under $50,000. So they're looking at ways of saving money when they're looking at their investment. They're looking to work from home and have a more flexible schedule and kind of set their own hours. And they're also looking for a business with low overhead where they may not have any employees, they don't have any retail space that they have to worry about, they don't have a lot of expensive inventory and things like that. So that's usually the reasons why people are buying home-based businesses right now. So it's a very attractive category. So what we wanted to do tonight is to present to you two different home-based franchises that I think are going to be very attractive to people that are on the webinar tonight. The first one we're going to have come up and present is Aussie PETMOBILE. And we have Jack Frampton with us from Aussie PETMOBILE. And he's going to go ahead and present to you more about their franchise concept and give you this kind of a brief overview of what they do and how they do it. So, Jack, if you're ready, I'll let you go ahead and move forward.
Thank you, Paige, and thank you for inviting me tonight, and welcome all. I want to begin by talking just briefly about FranNet and the relationship that a franchisor, Aussie PETMOBILE, has with a company like FranNet and Paige and his associates that really do us an excellent job as they talk to candidates and present them different options that might facilitate their future needs. We prefer working with brokers, and I assure you that from a financial standpoint, you don't pay a premium for that. The franchise fee is the same with a broker or without a broker, and I prefer working with Paige and his team at FranNet, which in my opinion is probably one of the best, if not the best organizations out there, because they take the time to really work with the candidates to find out what's in the candidate's best interest. So I applaud all of you who are out there working with FranNet. If you're not, I couldn't recommend them higher. That being said, Aussie PETMOBILE, path to success. We are a home-based business. We were founded in 1996 in Australia. That was a very successful operation. It was sold as a master franchise in 1999 when the founder, Ian Moses, who is still with the company, moved the operations to the United States and started franchising in 1999. We currently actually have over 70 franchisees with about 220 vans. If you look at an FDD, that would say units, but it's vans. We have offices in California, Pages in California. We also have our ops office in Seattle, which is the Oregon group. So geographically, this is well positioned. And then our international presence is handled out of New Zealand. Who are our customers? The pet business is huge. There's 130 million dogs and cats in the U.S., and it's growing. Pets outnumber children 4 to 1, and it grows every day. It's an extremely recession-resistant business as people need their pets groomed. They can do it themselves, which has been what's happened forever, or they can put the dog or cat in a car. Yes, we do cats. Drive them to a groom shop, leave them for hours, and they stay in cages. They go from one room to the next with many different handlers. After they're bathed, they'll go into a drying room, which is a big room with cages, and it looks like an octopus because there's vents that are hovering over the cages, blowing hot air on the pets to dry them. Versus Aussie PETMOBILE, we hand dry them. We show up in a Mercedes-Benz. It's not chaotic. A lot of people come to us because their pets are stressed out going to the groom shop. It's not a pleasant experience for a lot of pets. So we show up in a Mercedes-Benz, a lot of windows in the van, and we groom the pet on site. Less stressful on the pet and much, much more convenient for the pet owner. Our business grows quite rapidly. There's a huge demand for this business. We do have an Item 19, which Paige and his team will explain to you. It's kind of the governing document that defines the relationship, and Item 19 is specifically tailored towards giving earnings information. My average franchisee spending $1,200 a month in marketing their business. Honestly, it's not a lot of money. They're getting 100 calls a month from people who own pets, dogs and cats, looking for a mobile groomer to come and groom their pet for them. 50% of those one-time calls turn into customers. 80% of those one-time customers will repeat with our franchisees for the life of the pet, and we see them every 6.4 weeks at about a $90 average groom fee. The internet, the van present, referrals, postcards, flyers, door hangers, the marketing truly is a strength of Aussie PetMobile. I'm not trying to pull something out of the air. Finding pets to groom is not your problem. There is no cold calling. You're going to be answering the phone. It's a wonderful franchise to manage. The misconception is that we're asking you to become a groomer. No, I'm not. I'm asking you to manage the process, manage the groomers, schedule the appointments, and take care of your franchisees. A few of my franchisees have groomed because they felt they could manage it better if at first they spent a couple of months in the field understanding what's required of the groomer, and they felt like they could make them a better manager. I don't disagree with that, but 90% of my franchisees have never groomed a pet. I can get you up and started very quickly after the FDD, the franchise disclosure document is signed. It takes me 60 to 90 days to acquire the Mercedes-Benz van. We convert it in Escondido, California, which is a northern suburb of San Diego, and then ship it to you. In those 90 days, you're attending a 5-day school in Seattle, learning the operations of the business. You're hiring a groomer who is going through training. You're getting your office set up in your home. And then when the van arrives, 60 to 90 days after you sign the documents, you're ready to go. So it is a quick ramp up. Where do our franchisees come from? Primarily management. As similar to the graph that Paige showed you earlier, a lot of vice presidents, C-level directors, mid-managers who are looking for a fun, flexible lifestyle and can build an asset. This is a very transferable business, so you're actually creating a transferable asset because you have an active customer base of potentially thousands of clients that you can show that you're seeing them every 6.4 weeks. They're all paying you about the same. So it's a very transferable service industry type of a business. It's fun. Gives you a lot of flexibility in a lifestyle. Style is highly scalable. We've seen people add vans every 5 to 8 months. I've seen it quicker. I've seen it take longer. We don't have a development schedule, so as the market is telling you this van is full, we're losing business, we need another van, that's when you get your next van. So it's a very safe scalability. There is no receivables, there's no real estate, there's no major competitors. Our competitors are mom and pops that have one van and they're full. High repeat business, that 90% represents businesses that we have that have been in business for 4 years and more, have a 90% repeat rate. Billboards are the van is a mobile billboard on top of the internet. On the side of the van we have 1-800-PETMOBILE. It's a call center that we man 24 hours a day. Our territories are very generous. They're at least 300,000 people. They're constructed through concurrent zip codes that we snap together, and you have exclusive right to represent Aussie PetMobile in that territory. No one else can go in there. So when the zip code is received, it's matched up as your owned territory, and the call is transferred you to in real time. We have strong initial support. We are on controlled growth. We're growing nicely, but we're only awarding about 12 to 13 franchisees a year. We're mature. We're fortunate that we're living on our royalties, and we want to make smart placements. So we're looking for partners rather than selling franchising, which gives us the ability to say we do have strong initial and ongoing support, because that's what we can support, and we can't afford for anybody to fail. You don't want to make a bad investment, and we don't want you to experience any type of a problem with your business. Expenditures in 2014 were $58 billion. Why is that on there? As just kind of a reference point. 2008, they were $43 billion. We come out of the worldwide recession in 2012. 2008, we're going into it. From 2008 to 2012, a lot of businesses have contracted or failed, not the pet business. In 2012, it was a $53 billion business. 2014, 58. Today, it's about a $69 billion business. So it's very, very, very recession resistant because people love their pets. We have a very structured process. We're not going to try to push you or accelerate it. We want to make sure that we cover all 9 appointments, as we call them, so you have the opportunity to speak to all of us. It's a discovery process. A lot of our calls and appointments are via Skype. The senior management team is myself. Ian Moses is the owner and very active in the business, and Leon Feuerberg is our VP of Franchise Ops. As you can see, you have multiple touches with all of us, and around the 7th to 8th time that we've spoken typically takes somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks to complete this process. You know if we're a good fit. We know if you're a good fit. And on number 8, we set a confirmation day. Number 9, I come to you, and we actually sign the agreements. The van, Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van, it's the best mobile grooming vehicle in the business. We're real proud of it. It's completely self-contained. It's very, very green. Those 2 canisters in the lower right-hand corner are water containers. They're 65-gallon. It starts with fresh water, ends with reclaimed water. It's gray water. It's less harmful to the environment than a shower, and you literally water your grass with it. We'll show you all of this. We're kind of on a tight schedule, but I just want to ask you a question. Would you be interested in managing a home-based business that's the 7th largest in the industry in the U.S. and has been growing by $2.5 billion per year, where qualified customers are calling you, requesting your service? There is no cold calling. 80 to 90% of your clients repeat with you every 4 to 6 weeks at an average fee of over $80 per appointment, making it very scalable as well as fast growing. We do offer flexible lifestyle. We have a handful of skilled, well-paid people that are working for you. This has been proven to be extremely recession resistant. If you're interested in this business, and I hope you are, please talk to Paige and his team. I'm going to stay on after, and if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you, Paige.
Thank you, Jack. That was wonderful. I really appreciate you presenting Aussie PetMobile. So we will have time for questions and answers at the end, but what I'm going to go ahead and do is introduce our next spotlighted franchisor, which is Clothesbin, and I'm going to have Frank Morrison present on behalf of Clothesbin. So Frank, take it away.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for inviting me onto this call. It's a pleasure to be able to present. I'm not sure how many of you are in California, but I'm sure you guys are familiar with recycling bins out there. I know there's quite a few of them out there. But we are the first franchise to actually to franchise this concept. So in our space, in the franchise space, there is nobody else out there. Just to give you some perspective on the size of our bins are 6 feet tall, 5 feet wide, 4 feet deep. They're 100% galvanized stainless steel, and they're powder-coated painted. The way the chute is designed, human beings can't fit in here. And in the 10-plus years we've been in business in Florida, we've never had any pets or like kittens and dogs or puppies put in our bins, because people always ask me that. The bins weigh about 500 pounds when they're empty, and then they weigh about 1,100 pounds. These are questions people always ask. This right here is a hinge on the door, and it swings open. So this concept's been around since 1986, but like I mentioned, we're the first franchise to actually do this. So we've actually developed a semi-absentee, proven process for the collection, management, and distribution of clothes, shoes, and textiles throughout the U.S. that's easy to manage on a part-time basis. So our business model is actually designed for people that want to keep their job, and when your business is up and running, you're putting in an average of 30 to 45 minutes a day, because it's run through an app on your phone or your tablet, as you'll see. I've got a bunch of slides on that. So the opportunity is piling up. So 85% of textile waste is ending up in landfills, which is occupies about 17 billion pounds, or about 70 pounds a person, of unnecessary dumping of clothes, shoes, and textiles into landfills every year. Now, I'm sure a lot of you on the phone have donated to Goodwill and Salvation Army and, the veterans. Yes, those are organizations, but they're typically looking for only gently used items. We never know what contents is in the bags that our contributors contribute into our bins. And the biggest reason why there is such amount of waste going into landfills is because of lack of convenient ways to people to recycle their clothes, shoes, and textiles. So when we get the bags of textiles, and I'll show you how it all works in another slide, we actually sell those by the pound to textile recyclers or thrift stores, and we also have a corporate buyback program. When the textile recyclers or the thrift stores, they're the ones that are actually doing all the sorting. Our franchisees never sort anything. So in some of those bags, there could be 100 Tommy Hilfiger shirts in there with the price tag still on them, or there could be grandma's old drapes and bed linens and thread-worn clothes that could be in the bags. We don't know. So all those thread-worn clothes and old drapes and so forth, those will be sold to a textile recycler. They have their own distribution channels who's going to recycle those into institutional rags that you might find at an automotive shop, or the stuffing that goes into couches. And then all those old sneakers and shoes and the sneakers that are almost worn out and you could never give them to a Goodwill, they'll sell those to a rubber recycler who will repurpose that rubber into like little rubber pellets that will go into a children's playground, as an example. So there's this ongoing demand for green solutions. To give you some perspective, our company-owned location in Florida actually owns a thrift store. We go through 30,000 pounds a week of textiles. And if you had 60 bins in a territory, because our average territory holds 40, you'd never be able to supply us. That's just to give you some idea on the need that's actually out there. We're actually when we sell to our buyers, we're selling a trailer load at a time of 40,000 pounds at a clip. And we're actually 2 months behind currently in supplying them. So we're actually poised to be the next green movement amongst consumers. So how it works, I'll take a few minutes on the slide because it's really important that you get this. So we place the bins in ideal locations, and we will help you to place the first 20 bins. And typically we pay rent. Unlike a lot of the nonprofits that are out there, and for some of the for-profit companies, they don't want to pay anything. So we're going to get into those ideal locations, typically in the more higher-end neighborhoods. Contributors will fill the bins, and then you have a part-time driver, and you're renting a truck. I know it says clothes bin on the truck, but our graphic artist actually got a little carried away. It should say Penske on there because we have a national relationship with Penske. So your driver goes around to the bins. You actually would send them, and I'll show you on how the app works. They would send them a route to go on. Let's say they need to service 7 bins that day. They go around servicing all the bins. They pack everything into the 16-foot box truck that they're driving around, and then they're unloading the contents onto a 53-foot trailer that you're renting. And then they log all that weight onto the clipboard in the truck, and they segment it, and then you actually have buyers that will be sending you orders, and we'll actually help you set up your buyers. Now, I'm just giving you some broad strokes here. When people, if they want to learn more, I will go into much more detail, but for the brevity of time this evening, I can only give you the broad strokes. So how it grows, each one of our territories holds a minimum of 350 qualified gas stations and convenience stores. In addition to that, we have shopping plazas, schools, restaurants, religious organizations, and numerous other sites that are available in addition to the 350. Each territory starts with a minimum of 40 bins, and then you can secure additional bin locations by investing over time. So our territories were actually designed to hold a minimum of 60 bins. To keep the investment lower, we're offering, to start at 40, and then when a franchisee is ready to scale, which most people want to do, they can just add additional bins over time. Our franchisees are managing their margins and partnering with local recyclers to maximize their per pound pricing. So as you can see, this is a map of Michigan, and it says Michigan, Muskegon, and it says 381 and 375. This means there's 381 gas stations and convenience stores in that territory, of which 375 are qualified. What makes it qualified is we look for a median household income of $35,000 and up in a 3-mile radius of a gas station or convenience store. So we're supported by technology, so we're bringing textile recycling into the 21st century with BLIP, our bin location information program, which is our proprietary technology. So this is what our competitors don't have for them on the most part. So the BLIP will notify you at minimum of 2 times a day for servicing, and it will create the most efficient service route for your drivers. You can visualize your territory. We'll give you detailed contact information for all the potential bin locations, and also the app can also give you detailed performance and analysis for each one of your bin locations. So this is an example right here of all these. These are all schools in Broward County in Florida. This is where our headquarters is located at. And these are the bins that are going to need servicing right here for the next day, because when these are green, it means the bin is 0 to 49% full. When they're amber, they're 50 to 74% full, and when it's red, the bin is 75 to 100% full. You can actually have the BLIP software ping your phone a couple, when the bin hits 90% full, boom, it will send you a message to your phone. Whoops, here we go. So this is what the app actually would look like on your phone. So you can see where it says like my routes. You can click on that. If you know your driver is servicing, you can actually see where your driver is at any given time. And you can actually follow them around on the Google Maps to see how long it's taken them, and if they stop at Dunkin' Donuts or whatnot, you'll know that. So this is great. It actually is very insightful. Everything is done on the cloud. You have this on your phone. The app is on the phone for your driver too. So this is where your driver has to take images every single time they are there. They take a picture when they get there and they open the door, and then they take another one when they leave. Everything is time-stamped. All of these photos are up on the cloud. There's a couple of reasons that we do this. Number one, you can actually see what's in that bin. And number two, we make a commitment to the landlords where we have these different bins that we're going to leave the location in excellent condition. So we're kind of ensuring that that's going to happen. So this right here is those schools that I was showing you on the previous slide. So we actually we'll send this to the driver the night before, and we'll tell them where they need to start and where they need to finish. And on this particular day, these are the 6 schools that are right here that they need to go to. Okay, it tells you that the total distance on this route is 63.66 miles. The estimated drive time is about 2 hours. The estimated servicing time is about 1.5 hours, and the estimated travel time is about 3.49 hours. Now, the estimated weight to be collected is 2,898 pounds. The reason why it's estimated at this point is because this might be only 90% full, this bin might be 70, this one here might be 85, etc. You can actually plug in all your variable costs, which would be your labor cost and your truck rental cost, and then at this stage you would know what your average price per pound is you're receiving from your local buyers. So you can actually run a P&L on that route just for that day. Now I know it says like 3.49 hours, but that's just on the route. There also has to be time that, when you want to see it, well, how long is an employee actually going to work that day? Well, they have to go rent the truck, and then they have to drive to the start point, and then at the end, they actually have to go to a weigh station, WEIGH, to weigh the truck. Now, like I said, we have a relationship with Penske. They don't have to go at the beginning. They just go at the end because we already know what the weight of the truck is, and they get a tier weight ticket on the weight of the contents of that truck. So we have another differentiator for us is we actually place bins at schools. So we have and also in religious organizations where we become actually a fundraising activity for them. So as you can see here, these are 3 bins at one of our locations at an elementary school in Fort Worth, Texas. And it says Westcliff Elementary School here, and it says all donations made to these bins benefit the school, because we give anywhere from 5 to 10 cents a pound back to the school as a fundraising activity. And yes, a lot of people, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but if they make donations to like a Goodwill or Salvation Army, a lot of times they make too much money to write it off anymore. So if I'm a parent, I've got my kids in elementary school and middle school, and they're growing like weeds at that time, why not donate it to the school? Because, the school can use that money as fundraising money to buy school supplies, sports equipment for the kids, maybe musical instruments, and so forth. So it's a great program. There's really no work for the school. And we typically will work with the PTA or PTO organization to get the word out. And then we'll give the school a recycling poundage report with a monthly check. And we know, like I mentioned earlier, we negotiate the price per pound, which is typically anywhere from 5 to 10 cents a pound. The other point I want to point out here is these are magnets. So on these bins. So if you in the summertime, if you need to move a bin to, because during the season for 10 weeks, you could always move the bin to like a YMCA, where they're having summer camp, and you could just take this magnet off and move the bin. So our initial investment on the low end is about $120,545. We're an SBA-approved franchisor. We have discounts available for active military, veterans, first responders. Our business model gives our franchisees the ability to control and improve the margins on their sales. We're a home-based operation, so there's no major overhead commitments. Our franchisees retain their job and their career, and they can invest in their business as it grows. Now, our first franchisee started in December of 2016. So we are a new franchise. The good news is that it's blue ocean. We currently have 8 franchisees in our system, and we've awarded 15 territories. So, you can see just in the first 8 months of this year, we're kind of like adding, I guess you could say, like a franchisee every month. So additional benefits, the BIN is your hardest working employee. They work 24/7, 365 without overtime pay, and they never call in sick. Getting started is easy. There's no expenses build out, construction inspections, or soft openings to worry about. There's no ongoing inventory costs. There's zero cost of goods sold because you're getting contributions to the bins. And nice that the clothes and the textiles don't spoil, so that's nice. We have consistent sales in addition to the local buyers buying your product. We also have a corporate buyback program. It's flexible scheduling. We're a semi-absentee and part-time franchise that is scalable. You can capitalize on your free time, supplement a part-time job, or a full-time profession. So I kept it under 8 minutes. Boom.
Thank you, Frank.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. So before we go into how to investigate these concepts or other concepts and how FranNet can assist you in that, are there any questions that people have for Aussie PETMOBILE or for Clothesbin? Okay, then we'll jump in the next part, and we'll have time at the very end to answer some more questions for you. So a little bit about how FranNet can help you in this process. So let's just say you said, hey, I'd like to learn more about Aussie PETMOBILE. I'd like to learn more about Clothesbin. Or maybe I want to see, are there other concepts that are available for me that would match up well with my background and my profile? That's where FranNet comes in. We're a matchmaking service. We match people up with franchises, and we'll talk a little bit about how we do that. The most important thing to understand, as Jack mentioned in the very beginning, we are a free service. We don't charge for what we do. The franchisors like Aussie PETMOBILE and Clothesbin pay for us out of the franchise fee that you pay. And as Jack mentioned, the franchise fee isn't any higher if you work through us as if you went to the company directly. We are affiliated with the Small Business Development Center, SCORE, SBA, and Women in Business Centers, so we're very well affiliated, and FranNet has been doing this for over 30 years now. Now, how do we help people decide if these concepts or other concepts are the right fit? We have what's called a personal franchise assessment. It's a matchmaking process. It's based on a lot of the same algorithms that you see in the DISC profile or other profiling tools that are out there. And basically what this allows us to do is build a business model for you. And this business model will tell us a little bit more about your transferable skill sets. Are you good at management? Are you good at team building? Are you good at marketing? Are you good at sales? What are your strengths? It also tells us a little bit what might be your weaknesses. We want to make sure that we're matching up your strengths with the right business, and that if there are some weaknesses there, that we find out what those might be and how do we compensate for those. The next thing that we do is we start looking at in your business model is what are your business preferences? How many units do you want? How much income do you want to derive from the business? What's your budget? Do you want to have employees? Would you rather work solely? Are you looking for something that's home-based? Are you looking for something that's service-based, white-collar, what have you? So we take all this information about your personality, your transferable skill sets, your business preferences, and we actually put it into a template and create a very specific business model for you. And from that template, I and our team are able to tell which businesses fit for you very specifically. So it may very well be one or both of these businesses may be the perfect fit for you, but there might be other concepts out there that you might want to look at as well. So it's very important to have a very strong business model before you go out there and start looking at franchises. And this is one of the main things that FranNet does through that personal franchise assessment. Once we have the assessment in and we meet and we discuss the different franchises, we do the introductions to the franchisor. So in step one, we make sure that, and I think you saw in both presentations, they have a very systematic way of introducing their concept to you. It's not all done in one phone call. So we help set up in step one those talks and those webinars and Skype chats and phone chats with the franchisor. The second thing we do is we have you actually talk to the franchisees. That's one of the most important things because the franchisees can tell you anything they want about the business. We call it the good, the bad, the ugly. What's good about this business, what's bad about this business, and what cautionary things might you want to be careful of in this business. And those are very important things for you to understand. So step two is probably where you're going to spend most of your time. During this time, you're also going to be looking at funding options. You know, where am I going to get the money for this? Am I going to be looking at a small business administration loan? Am I going to be doing a self-directed 401k rollover where you can roll over funds out of your retirement accounts? Am I looking at doing a HELOC, a home equity line of credit? You know, those different types of things. So we will help you create some of those funding options and look at some of the lenders that are out there. And then we move on to step three. Often this is called Meet the Team Day or Discovery Day. This is your time to go visit the franchisor. It's also their time to get to know you as well and make sure you're a good fit for their system. And then finally, we introduce you to the attorneys and the accountants and other professionals that are going to help you make that final decision and make sure that you're doing what is necessary to make a qualified decision. That process takes about 60 to 90 days. So as you can see from this, it's not a rush decision that you're going into. This is something where you're going to spend 2 or 3 months with your FranNet associate working through all these 4 steps and making sure that by the time you get to the end of this process that you feel that you can make what we call a defensible decision. And the reason we do that is that the closer you get to a decision, the scarier this process gets. So it's very important that we make sure that you've gone through all these 4 steps very carefully and very thoroughly so that you get to a qualified decision. And that's what helps the franchisor know that we're bringing the right person to them as well. One of the things that we saw is that 91% of the businesses that we've placed with FranNet are still in business after 2 years, and 85% are still in business after 5 years. 15% of those people that we place are top performers. So one of the reasons why the franchisors pay our fees is because they find that the people we place with them tend to be their top performers. So that's one of the reasons why people choose FranNet is because they said, hey, we want to make sure that we're being placed with the right franchisors. And the reason why the franchisors are working with FranNet is they want to make sure that the people we're placing with them are going to be some of their top performers and are very well educated on the process. So that's how FranNet works. So one of the things that you will get from us after this presentation is you will get a personal franchise assessment link sent to you. That assessment takes about 20 to 30 minutes to fill out. The results will be sent back to you, and then the associate in your region will contact you to set up a 10 or 15-minute overview over the phone to make sure that you understand what that assessment says, see if you have any questions about it. And then if it makes sense, then they'll invite you to have a face-to-face meeting, which is usually a 1 to 2 hour meeting where we're building the business model with you together. So that's how we work. And then at that point in time, we identify which businesses are going to be the right fit for you. So now we have an opportunity, since we're about 15 minutes before the close of the session, we have some time to ask questions of Aussie PETMOBILE, you can ask questions of Clothespin, or you can ask questions about FranNet. So are there any questions out there that can be answered for anyone? Feel free to step forward and ask, and we'll see if we can answer them for you.
Hi, for the Aussie one, what was the initial investment and any follow-on investment, or what's the structure and any amounts there?
The initial investments between $136 and $146, that includes the franchise fee, all training costs, all uniform, all supplies, advertising for the first 4 months, transferring the vehicle from San Diego to wherever you live, the down payment for the van, 3 months worth of van payments, 3 months worth of insurance payments, conversion on the van. It's all covered in item 7. Very good question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Don't be bashful.
And by the way, one of the things we understand is in brevity of timing, 8 minutes is not a normal presentation time for these franchisors. So if you decide that you want to look at these concepts, they're probably going to spend 30 to 60 minutes with you doing an initial overview. The goal here tonight was really to give you a flavor of what home-based businesses are about, a couple different samples of those, and let you know how FranNet can help you in that process.
Paige
so
is
before
right.
we end
8 minutes is a sprint.
It's a sprint. And usually the presentation I do about franchising lasts about an hour and a half. So, but the main thing is we want to make sure we cover all the bases tonight. So before we stop the recording, are any other questions that anyone has for either the three of us?
I guess I'll do another one on the Aussie as well. The territories, Southern California, how is that looking?
I'm pretty wide open other than San Diego County. Orange County, Riverside County, LA County, I've got some great territory. Where do you live?
Okay. San Diego.
Hey. Temecula is open up and through there. Fallbrook.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, thank you, sir.
Any last questions? Well, be on the lookout. You will be getting an email from us. First, thanking you for joining us tonight, and we really appreciate you taking your time out. And then also thank you, Jack, and thank you, Frank, for your time tonight. We really appreciate that. And you will get an email coming out with the assessment link, and when you fill that out, you'll get the results back, and then the associate from your specific territory will contact you directly. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it, and everyone have a great evening.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.